Hello students, welcome to this online course of Water Resource Engineering. So till now we have covered the topic of Kennedy's theory in this chapter. Today we are going to see the Lacey's theory, which was proposed by Lacey in year 1939. So Lacey was an eminent civil engineer in Uttar Pradesh Irrigation Department. He carried out extensive investigations on the design of stable channels in alluvium. Okay, so he investigated the stable channels which were constructed in alluvium type of soil. On the basis of his research work, he found many drawbacks in Kennedy's theory. So why there was need for this theory? Actually, that already Kennedy had proposed one theory, but why there was need of new theory? Why Lacey thought there should be a new regime theory? Because there were many drawbacks in this existing Kennedy's theory, and he put forward his new theory by analyzing those drawbacks and by investigating the stable channels. He proposed his own theory. So let us see what is Lacey's regime channel. We have seen the Kennedy's regime channel. Now let us see how Lacey have defined his regime channel. So it was stated by Kennedy that a channel is said to be in a state of regime if there is neither silting nor scoring in the channel. So this was proposed by Kennedy. This, if the channel is not showing any silting and scoring, then it will be termed as a regime channel. But Lacey came out with the statement that even a channel showing no silting and no scoring may actually not be in regime. So Lacey came up with this new statement which was saying that even if a channel is having no silting and no scoring, still it cannot be in regime state. So he therefore differentiated between three regime conditions. So he differentiated all the type of channel into three regime types. First, true regime, second one initial regime, and last one is final regime. So Lacey has differentiated the regime condition into three types: true regime, initial regime, and final regime. So according to Lacey, a channel which is under initial regime is not a channel in regime. So we will see what does this mean. For time being, just understand this, that if a channel is in regime channel, so this type of channel will not be termed as a channel in regime, though outwardly it appears to be in region as there this is regime as there is no silting. So if you are seeing from outside, you will be saying this channel should be in regime because there is no silting and no scoring, but still according to Lacey's it is not in regime, and hence regime theory is not applicable to such channel. So whatever theory was proposed by Lacey for a regime channel is not applicable to initial regime. Why? Because according to him, initial regime channel, if it is showing the condition of initial regime, it is not in regime actually. So his theory is therefore applicable only to those channels which are either in true regime or in final regime. Okay, so it is not yet confirmed that it will be applicable to both true regime and final regime, but out of these three, first one is ruled out. So we have to check whether his theory is applicable for true regime or final regime or both. So let us see what is true regime. A channel shall be in regime if there is neither silting nor scoring. For this condition to be satisfied, the silt load entering the channel must be carried through by the channel section. This we have understood. So if no silting and no scoring should be there. So what if this is a channel, let us say. So for this to show no silting, no scoring, whatever load is coming here, it should exit from the channel, then only it will be termed as a regime condition, because then only no silting and no scoring is achieved. Moreover, there can be only one channel section and one bed slope at which the channel carrying a given discharge and a particular quantum and type of silt would be in regime. So there is only one possibility. Okay, the channel, only one channel section is possible, and that too with the unique only one bed slope. So bed slope is also constant and the channel cross section is also constant. For what we are telling that these are constant, at which that channel will carry a given discharge and a particular quantum, quantity and type of silt which would be in regime. Clear? So hence an artificially constructed channel having a certain fixed section and a certain fixed slope can behave in regime only if the following conditions are satisfied. So this possibility of having a unique section and a unique bed slope can be achieved by artificial construction. So if that artificially constructed channel is satisfying the following conditions, then that artificial channel will be in regime. Okay, so what are the conditions? Discharge is constant, discharge that through that channel should be constant, flow should be uniform. So we have learned various type of flow in the previous, in fluid mechanics I guess you have learned that steady, non-steady, uniform, non-uniform, rotational, irrotation. So the flow should be uniform. This means the parameters should not change by changing the distance or space. With space the parameter should be constant. Silt charge is constant. Okay, that is the amount of silt is constant in that any particular section. If we are checking, the silt charge should be constant. Silt grade is constant, that is the type and size of silt will be also same. Channel is flowing through a material which can be scored as easily as it can be deposited. So that type of soil we have seen in the, I think, previous lecture of this unit. Incoherent alluvium and is of the same grade as is transported. Channel is flowing through a material which can be scored as easily as it can be deposited. This deposition means silting. So that material which is flowing from that channel should be erodible, easily erodible, and as well as it should be easily, it can be deposited easily. And this type of soil is known as incoherent alluvium. So if these 5 conditions are met, then only that artificially constructed channel will be in regime condition. Hence a designed channel shall be in true regime if the above conditions are satisfied, but in practice all these conditions can never be satisfied. So it is very tough to fulfill all these conditions in reality or practically. Therefore artificial channels can never be in true regime. They can either be in initial regime or final regime. Okay, so artificial channel can never be in true regime. Why? Because these conditions are of true regime and it is very tough to fulfill these conditions. Now let us see initial regime and final regime. When only the bed slope of a channel varies due to dropping of silt. So if the deposition of silt is going on, so what is going to happen? The bed slope of the channel will vary and its cross section or wetted perimeter remains unaffected. So cross section will be same only, it is not going to change, and so is wetted perimeter. So if this type of bed we are having in which only bed slope is changing and the cross section and wetted perimeter are unaffected, then that type of channel will be in the state of initial regime. Thus, when water flows through an excavated channel with somewhat narrower dimensions and defective slope means the slope is changing, the silt carried by the water may get dropped in the upper reaches, thereby increasing the channel bed slope. Consequently, what is going to happen? The velocity is increased. Why velocity is increasing? Due to deposition of silt, the cross section area will be reduced, and cross section area will be reduced, so velocity will increase because Q is A into V. It is constant, area has decreased, so it has to increase, velocity will increase, and a non-silting equilibrium is established called initial regime. Sides of such channels are subjected to a lateral restraint and could have scored if the bank soil would have been a true alluvium. Okay. So due to this high velocity, the channel sides will be subjected to lateral restraint, and they can be scored when they are channel sides are going to be scored if the material is incoherent. Okay, but in practice they may either be grassed or be of clay soil, and therefore they may not get eroded at all. But in practice, the natural channels, these are not man-made, these are natural channels. So in practice, natural channels are in the bank you can easily see the grass, or if nothing, they will be made up of clay soil. So in both these conditions, it is very tough to get them eroded. Hence, such channels will exhibit non-silting, non-scoring properties, and they appear to be in regime. So from outside you will be, it seems that they are in regime, but in fact they are not. They have achieved only a working stability due to the rigidity of their banks. So as their banks are not easily erodable, so it seems this condition is achieved only due to that rigidity, because their sides is not going to change. Their slope and velocity are higher and cross section narrower than what would have been if the sides were not rigid. So if sides are not rigid, so due to erosion, their cross section area will get increased and their velocity will be reduced. So such channels are termed as channels in initial regime, and regime theory is not applicable to them, as they are in fact not the channel in alluvium. So for initial regime also, this initial regime is also not the channel in regime. But if there is no resistance from the sides and all the variables such as perimeter, depth, slope, etc. are equally free to vary and finally get adjusted according to discharge and silt grade, then the channel is said to have achieved permanent stability called final regime. So if a channel is such that it's all the variables means perimeter, depth, slope are equally free to vary. So these all are free to vary, and they are free to vary and they will be adjusted according to discharge and the grade of the silt. So if such condition is available, if a channel has achieved such conditions that all the parameters are independently varying and they have achieved a state of permanent stability, then that condition is termed as final regime. So regime theory is applicable to such channels only, means the regime theory is applicable to final regime only, and not to all regimes channels as was envisaged by Kennedy. So as Kennedy has told that neither silting nor scoring is the sufficient condition to term the channel as a regime channel, it is not true actually. Okay. So such a channel in which all variables are equally free to vary has a tendency to assume a semi-elliptical section. Okay, so in practical it was seen that such channels assumes semi-elliptical section. The coarser the silt, the flatter is the semi-ellipse, that is greater is the width of the water surface. So or vice versa, the finer the silt, the more nearly the section attains a semicircle. So you can see the shape. So this is for very fine silt. If silt is medium, so width is little bit higher, and if silt is very coarse, so it will be something like this. So this is semi-elliptical shape. The second point which Lacey argued was that the sediment is kept in suspension not only by the vertical component of the eddies which are generated on the channel bed, but also by the eddies generated on the sides of the channel. So Kennedy assumes only the eddies generated from bed, but Lacey told that for keeping the silt in suspension, the helping force is coming from bed as well as from the sides of the channel. So Kennedy had neglected the eddies that are generated on the sides of the channel by presuming that such eddies has horizontal movement for greater part and therefore do not have sediment supporting power. So this we have already seen in Kennedy theory. So Lacey thus argued that the silt supporting power of channel is proportional to the wetted perimeter of the channel and not to its width, as was presumed by the Kennedy. So silt supporting power is proportional to the wetted perimeter, not to the width as proposed by Kennedy. Therefore, he assumed hydraulic mean depth as variable, unlike Kennedy, who assumed depth as variable. So Lacey assumes hydraulic mean depth as a variable, not the y or the depth which was assumed by Kennedy. Thirdly, he argued that the grain size of the material forming the channel is an important factor and should need much more rational attention than what was given to it by Kennedy. So Kennedy have assumed directly that different values of critical velocity for different types of soil. He directly gave a table in which you can see these m value which were critical velocity ratio. So Lacey therefore introduced a term called silt factor in his equation and connected it to the average particle size. So that we will see. So this, I hope something you have understood. This is not very easy topic. So I will request all of you to please read the book multiple times, 3-4 times, then see the lecture, then again see the book, then only you will get some idea of this topic. Else it will be very tough to understand. It is not that tough if you are reading and understanding this theory and its assumptions, then you will get to understand very easily. But if you are taking it casually, I think you will not be able to understand it easily. So this is a request, please read the book and see the video and try to correlate between them. So this is all for today. Thank you.